Okay, let's look on the control camera property window. So first you will notice on the top left we have an icon that allowed us to toggle between camera and perspective view. We can going around and you can select multiple cameras, as many as you wanted, and when you have more than one camera, right, you can go ahead and rotate between them. So like in a word browser we can see we have a top camera and main camera, so I can switch in my view between them. Sometimes you'll notice how it's very bright. The reason is why, because if we open our main camera and we'll go inside the properties, we'll open and we'll see after exposure set and it's a 0. So if we're going inside top camera properties, you'll notice right here after exposure is not set and this is not 0. So if we're going to set, for example, as a 0 or enable after exposure, now we'll have it properly rendered. So if for some reason when you start and you'll notice some coloring does not or lighting does not work, just go in the properties and in camera properties and set. You can access by double tap click them on the name or right click and go to the edit object. As well, you can access from the top navigation. So let's go back to the main camera. Okay, and right here let's look more so we find how we can select it. We also can preview our render, and these give you not exactly the same but very close. You can always by clicking with the left right click or right. If you click right, you have it pop up windows when you have it options to enable after update, and if it takes sometimes longer time to refresh or more load on your computer, you can disable and enable refresh only when you left click on a window. And we also have it showing framing strip when we need it, and we have it preview quality currently set to the standard. Faster, it will render faster with less CPU loaded, but it will have it less accurate. And of course you can go to the best quality, however it will take longer time to render, and it's not bad right now, but when you have many objects it is takes some time, so I do recommend to keep it just on a standard. We also have a preview priority. It's have a default. Higher will it take faster, more CPU, but it will be faster render, or lower. And we also have it render dynamic ecosystem. And when you start populating, so if you want to preview with populating, you can enable this as well. Okay, let's go ahead. Next we'll look on items below. So one, we have it frame selected object. So currently you can see it's not selected. Our palm, and for example, if I want to be sure all palm is included in my frame, I'm going to select that palm and I'm going to click to frame it. So you notice right here, it's a center frame it my object. It's a very useful when you try to be sure all of your object is included in render view. So the next we'll have it pan camera, so we can pan camera left and right. Okay, let's go preview from top right here. You can see it. Okay, you can see our camera go left and right. It will be very similar when you do applied with your drag, but currently let's go set to the local position, and you can see we can do same things. Okay, but sometimes if you set to the global and you reposition and you just want pan to the local, so you can just reuse it, this property, you know, just to pan around this way. Okay, so let's go up and down and left and right. It just depends when you move mouse, you can see how it's modified. We also have it move camera back and forward. Again, if you're in this window, you can see we're going kind of moving camera. Think about like a dolly almost, if you're with the camera. And next we have a two rotate cameras. If the no object selected, the ball will be acting similar. So we have a rotation camera right here. Okay, you can see. Okay, or we can have rotation around object. So in this case, it's nothing selected. So if we select main camera, you can see it will act same because it's rotating around same camera. If we select the palm, so now when we go rotate camera, it's rotating same way, but right here you can see if we select against the object, so now our camera is rotating and focusing point on the object we selected. So that almost you can kind of like go around an animation, preview the plant or preview the object you selected. Okay, next we have it our camera focal point. So let's select camera, and you notice right here in object property we have it set the camera selected. We have it focal distance 35 millimeters. That's what default for the most camera. It's a little bit wide angle. As example, your vision it will be anywhere from 50 to 55 millimeters, the normal eye see. But as a film doing 35 millimeters, a little bit wider, but it's what common, and it's set right here. So we can bring in, modify this focal distance, and focal distance is a little bit different from the dolly, from like bring up and down, moving our object. So if we go up right here, okay, and let's move it out. So you can see right here we have it our camera, we're moving back and forward. Otherwise we don't move camera, we just change focal distance of this camera. This is also will affect some perspective, because we will render accurately. So when we're going and we set, for example, 18 millimeters wide angle, you will have more distortions, barrel effect on the lens, because it's trying to simulate very accurate. As well, if we have it kind of telephoto closer, we'll have a different top barreling inside, and also will affect on the depth of the field. So it's kind of similar simulating. If you want to create shallow depth of field, like creating macro, you probably want to keep it higher focal area and enable blurring on specific areas. So that way you can create a nice, very shallow depth of field blurring inside the view and creating more like a macro type of the look. So again, the focal, and this is different, and you can always change this focal directly from the camera control view. And then next we also have it secure active camera, so you cannot modify it. And if you have any other cameras, or you want copy or paste or create new camera, you can also do from here as well. If you remember, you have options to select on a camera and a copy from the view of your main view. Guys, we'll speak about control, one other control, and it's come up quite a bit often. People ask, for example, I have a camera right here, why I cannot tilted this, or skew left or right a little bit. The reason why, because right here you can notice a level is enabled. So if you uncheck this box level, now you can see I can take my camera and kind of skew left or right. So I disable lever on this case. Sometimes you want to do this like tilting, for example, when you have an airplane while flying and tilting, or maybe for some other effect. But overall, by default, this will be locked, so, and you cannot modify that, so it's lever. Another option to see, it's a height lock. When you create camera, many times or a new one, lock may be enabled. So in this case, what's happening when you have objects, for example, sphere. Okay, let me create bigger one. And you'll notice right here, camera jump up. So what is happening, and people ask why my camera is start jumping up. And the reason why, this is probably have a height lock. So uncheck this way. On that case, it can pass or camera won't be affected. So just couple notice. We'll look on them a little bit closer more when we work with the cameras, with more settings on the cameras. But just overall, this is two properties is kind of give it some head scratcher when you start working first with the view.